It's time for the 1430 Connection on 1430 WNAV and 99.9 FM, spotlighting news, newsmakers, and important community issues. Now, with this week's edition of the 1430 Connection, here is WNAV news anchor Donna Cole.
Welcome to the 1430 Connection. I'm Donna Cole. In the studio with me today is Reverend Dr. Carletta Allen, president of the Rotary Club of Annapolis, and Mary Felter, who is on the PR committee for the Rotary Club of Annapolis Crab Feast. Welcome, ladies. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
Delighted.
Dr. Allen, you are new to the position as president of the Rotary Club of Annapolis, I understand.
This is my second day.
It's kind of new. Well,
That's pretty new.
Congratulations. Tell me about your past, including living in Japan, which I think is very cool. Do you speak Japanese?
No more.
Okay.
But I did when I came back. I was actually born in Tampa, Florida. My mom remarried a military man, and off we went to a place called Tachikawa, Japan. Now, Tachikawa is still there, but the air base is not. And so I was 4 years of age. We lived off base, and there were lots of Japanese children around. And so you learn to speak the language of your playmates. Also, we were required to have some kind of help back then, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom. So she used the, quote, maid as a language tutor. And so that's how I learned Japanese. So I came back to the U.S. speaking Japanese. But I didn't have any Japanese playmates when I got back, so it all went away.
But you have a love for languages and culture, I understand.
Indeed, I do. I love to travel. As a matter of fact, I'm freshly back from Hamburg, which was the site of this year's Rotary International Convention. And the people of Hamburg were wonderfully hospitable and welcoming, and I look forward to going back there.
And the church you work for?
I am the pastor of Asbury United Methodist Church on West Street. It's the church everybody drives by and walks by.
I have been in it a number of times, but I also work
Wonderful.
with the Annapolis Film Festival.
Yes.
Yes, and it's such a cool church, and it's such a gem in this community, and it's part of the fabric that holds our community together.
Thank you for knowing that. We recently went through a formal strategic planning process, and so we will be aggressively getting our story out there for the few people who don't know that, because Asbury really is, we are geographically in the heart of the city, but we feel that we are spiritually and materially in the heart of the city. It is a gem, whether you were there for the film festival or whether you were there for one of our opera collaborations or whether you were there because you're hungry and you need food and you know that we have food there. Asbury is a place that people count on. So it's a privilege to be in my 8th year as their pastor.
Mary,
I wanted to say I love listening to her sermons. I've gone a couple of times, and I sit there and I think, right on, lady, you know.
You've been part of Rotary Club of Annapolis for a long time.
10 years now. It's hard to believe, yes.
Tell me what, some people don't know what Rotary is, so tell me what Rotary is.
Basically is a service organization. It's international, and our motto is service above self. So we try as an entirely individualistic organization where we all have the same goal. We try to help the community, not just here, but also around the world. We have 1.2 million members around the world.
Wow. You always want more members.
Yes, of course. And we're delighted to have guests come, and we'd like them to let us know that they want to come. And if they're happy doing the meeting or just like our goals, we'll be delighted to introduce them to our membership chairman, and they can find out whether they feel like they fit. We are open to everyone, and we have dues, of course, because we got to pay for our meals. But other than that, it's a very inclusive organization.
Dr. Allen, what does it mean to you? I believe you are the first African-American woman president of Rotary Club of Annapolis?
Evidently. Well, I must
And
say,
I really don't like label. I am somebody that really despises labels, but I also am somebody that likes to recognize breaking glass ceilings. Mm-hmm. So you are.
I am.
What does that mean to you?
That's hard to say because I have been in the position of being the first in a place for a long time. So it's not new to me. And I'm not sure, to tell you the truth, that it means an awful lot to the people I'll be serving this year, because that's what the president's position is.
Right.
It's a position of service. And I'm not sure that it means anything to them.
You've
what
been
matters to them.
serving the community for a long time.
I have, and not just this community, but communities all around the area, because I'm an itinerant elder, which means that the bishop sends me. But I mean, it's great, but it doesn't mean anything if I don't do a good job. And for me, that means having the best team that will serve the club and the community. And I've got a great team. It is a dream team. Every president feels that way, and maybe we're all right. But it's just an honor to be able to serve the Rotary Club of Annapolis in Greater Annapolis.
Let's take a short break. We'll be right back on the 1430 Connection. Welcome back to the 1430 Connection. In the studio with me today is Reverend Dr. Carletta Allen, president of the Rotary Club of Annapolis, and Mary Felter is on the publicity committee for the Rotary Club of Annapolis annual crab feast. And it's not a little crab feast. We're going to get to that in a minute. We're talking about breaking glass ceilings and being the first. And I had said Reverend Allen is the first African-American woman president. She actually might be, we don't know, the first African-American president of the Rotary Club of Annapolis.
One of the things that Rotary stands for is diversity from the very beginning. But in the beginning, of course, the membership was white males.
Right.
So the diversity was a vocation. Rotary in the 21st century is very committed to diversity and inclusion. And so one of the things that we'll be doing during what is called My Year is looking at who's missing at our table, who's missing in the community that we serve. I think we've done a pretty good job of providing grants and help to pretty much everybody in the community. But just in case, we want to do a deep dive in that. And looking around at our own club, it is still predominantly white. But one of the things that happened last year was that we started a satellite breakfast club. And that morning club is much more ethnically and age diverse than our lunchtime club. We're talking about the possibility of starting an evening group for the same purpose. There are an awful lot of people who are not available for an hour and a half in the middle of the day every week. And so diversity and inclusion also means being willing to change ourselves and remake ourselves to provide opportunities for people to show up for us.
You need that diversity in order to be a successful organization, whether it's in news, if it's in churches, if it's in Rotary, yeah?
Right. And there was a time Annapolis was that place. It is sad to me that Annapolis has become so stratified, that we look at the very well-to-do and privileged and those who do not have very much. And one of the things that people need to know is that we are impoverished when we do not know all of our neighbors. We really are. We need to know and to care about all of the people around us. And so when I see people who are moving ever and ever and ever further away from people who are not like them, it troubles me. That does not bode well for a healthy society in the long run.
When you looked around coming to the meetings at Rotary before taking over the president, who's missing? Who is missing? Because you're talking to the audience right now that could help with that.
Well, at our noon club, what is missing are ethnic diversity, and we're working on that. We have probably pretty much at this point, with the exception of young adults, everybody in the community. And I would say that our numbers probably mirror the percentage of population, so that even though we don't have a lot of African Americans, we probably have a relative percentage of African Americans in our club. But we certainly are working to attract younger professionals, because one of the great things about Rotary is that there are people there who can mentor you. And I think that young professionals are looking for that. The problem is they're not available for an hour and a half in the middle of the day.
Everybody's busy, yeah.
Which is why we have the Breakfast Club,
right,
which meets once a month. We are LGBTQ inclusive. We have a lot of women in our club. And when I went to what's called PETS training, which is President-elect training, that's a regional gathering. And there were so many women in the room. We well outnumbered the men. So Rotary's come a long way.
All right, we're going to take another short break. We'll be right back on the 1430 Connection to learn about what is billed as the world's largest crab feast.
Amen.
It is.
Welcome back to the 1430 Connection. In the studio with me today is Reverend Dr. Carletta Allen, president of the Rotary Club of Annapolis, and Mary Felter. She's on the publicity committee for the Rotary Club of Annapolis Crab Feast. It's billed as the world's largest crab feast, Mary.
Absolutely, and that came from National Geographic about maybe 15 years ago when they did an article on Annapolis and the special events that happen here, and they came to the crab feast, and they're the one who dubbed it the world's largest crab feast forever and ever.
So you've been in print journalism for a while. I was in print journalism prior to this. In radio, we have to paint pictures for people to see.
Absolutely.
So paint a picture of what the world's largest crab feast looks like.
Well, it starts off with 2,500 to 3,000 people, so you can imagine that size crowd. And we have two ends of the Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium with stations where you can pick up your crabs already on a tray. And
not on the field, but in
underneath in the shade. So if it's a warm day or if it rains briefly, because we do have showers occasionally, but you're under cover. So you can pick up your crabs and you can pick up your vinegar, or you can pick up your anything else that you like special to go with your crabs. We have a beer station at two different locations as well. And you can sit down at long tables, and they've got paper towels and hammers, and all you do is go to it. And we don't mind if you take a lot of crabs, but if you have more than you need to eat, we ask that you share it with your neighbor, because it is a great resource, the crabs in the bay, and we want to protect them.
And you're sitting at these long tables with your neighbors and friends from the community, or perfect strangers who will become your neighbors and friends. You have a tray full of crabs. You have all the drinks that you want. The charge for this is?
Well, the charge for general admission is $70, and we give the net proceeds to the community. We set up a committee of various members who decide what they want to give the money to. We've given it to health. We've given it to art. We've given it to education. We've given it for housing. It varies depending who's on the committee. And we do a different committee every year so that there's no one favoritism for anything. And maybe one year they'll decide to do it to all those areas. It depends. But it's really nice because people are very grateful for these funds. The most we've ever given out at one time to one group is $5,000, and I believe the smallest was in the hundreds, and it was to a Boy Scout troop. So it doesn't matter, as long as you're a nonprofit 501(c) group, you can apply for that. And we usually give it to 30 different groups, and that's because we try to raise close to $80,000 after you've paid for all those crabs.
And are the applications still being accepted for this year, or is it closed off?
No, for this year the awards are being made. As a matter of fact, I think we just made the last one. It went to Center of Help, and we gave money to a Blue Ribbon project at a school. So the money goes all over.
Okay, to find out more information or to buy tickets, and this is the 74th annual.
Absolutely,
by the way.
Absolutely.
74 years of doing this.
Yes.
A lot of crabs.
And it's all volunteer. Nobody eats crabs who's a Rotarian. That's not permitted. We're waiting on people and taking care of their needs. So tickets are $70 each. It's reduced for children, obviously, and you can order tickets by going to www.annapolisrotary.org and order them online.
This is on August 2nd.
That's the first Friday of the month of August, and it's between 5 and 8 p.m. People line up at the stadium to get in and sit down. If you pay a little bit more, you can even reserve a table under a nice big shady tent. So just check it out.
This is one of those quintessential Annapolis events that if you haven't done before, you absolutely, positively have to do this year. It is so cool. I have been there. It was a great evening of enjoying crabs and enjoying one another's company. It just really is it's part of Annapolis.
Absolutely. And people who come, sometimes it's their family reunion. We've had people from all over the world bring their families.
Tell me some of the organizations. I heard who received the grants this year. Tell me some in the past.
Historic Annapolis, when they needed some funds for downtown with the garden. We've given it to the hospital, of course, because they were renovating. I'm sorry, I can't remember the exact room that they were renovating. We gave money to the playground that's downtown. It's right across the street from Ego Alley. We've given it to school programs. This one is called STARE. It's Start the Adventure in Reading. So it's across the globe, really, what we do. And then we try to set a little bit of money aside to do international projects as well. And we work we've done Uganda, we've done Ecuador, setting up reading programs or setting up wells for people so they have fresh, clean water.
Really an amazing give back for something that...
Absolutely. And not last but least is the End Polio Plus program that we have going on. As we always say, we're this close, being about like a half an inch, to solving polio around the world. Used to be 300,000 cases of polio every year, and we're down to about 18. And it's Afghanistan and Pakistan with the wars.
Now, this event, the world's largest crab feast, is one of the forerunners in trying to keep it environmentally friendly and green, which is very cool. Tell me about that.
Well, we signed up with Annapolis Green about 5 years ago. They approached us and said, we'd like to help you recycle or compost all of your waste. So we started with one end of the stadium, and we did very, very well. Everybody cooperated at their tables, and now we do the entire stadium. So last year, Annapolis Green recomposted up to 40 tons, and Annapolis Rotary's was 14 tons of that.
And no plastic or
everything is recycled, including plastic, including the beer, including everything.
And there are water stations. Do I remember that? Okay.
Yes, that's correct. So if you want, you can go and get your water bottle or water cup restocked with water, and you don't have to have another plastic bottle. And we don't have any straws, no plastic straws.
You really, as far as events go, and this is a big event in Annapolis, you really are a forerunner on this with the help of Annapolis Green.
Right. They set up a program where they can work with festivals all over the area, and we were one of the first that they began with to see how it would work, and it worked.
All right, one more time. It's August 2nd. It's the 74th Annual Crab Feast. Ticket pricing, $70 for adults, $25 for children ages 3 to 12. You can reserve tables. You can get preferred dining. And all of this information, including how and where to buy tickets, is on, Mary?
The website, www.annapolisrotary.org.
Thank you both very much for joining me.
It was fun.
This is Donna Cole on the 1430 Connection. We will see you next week.